It's not what you did, son, that angers me so. It's who you did it to.
Who? The fucking nobody?
That fucking nobody is John Wick. Oh, John is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you know very little about.
Alpha males don't saunter about the world hoping for a chance to come their way. They create possibilities, and as a result, they appear to get all of the best breaks. You've experienced jealousy before, watching alpha males acquire all the greatest jobs, the most beautiful women, and the most money. If you've ever sat enviously watching as a friend went on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation with his beautiful, adoring wife, or quietly despised him as he left on an all-expenses-paid trip abroad on behalf of a company that values every last noise he makes and every darn breath he takes, you know what I'm talking about. But you're not the alpha guy in your group, because you're sitting there, hating others for their accomplishments and grumbling about how they can't possibly deserve it more than you do. It's occurring because, unlike that person, you haven't decided what you want or made up your mind about going out and getting it. So, what do you hope to achieve in your life? In a year, where do you wish to be? How about 5 years from now? What about when you take your final breath and shuffle off this mortal coil? Where do you want to go and what do you want to have accomplished on that day? As you ascend the brightly illuminated corridor to your afterlife, what do you want to come to mind? You'll have to do some serious thinking to figure that out. I'm not sure if you have a vague concept already, but you certainly don't have a detailed strategy that you've been following since you stopped wearing shorts. What evidence do I have? Because you aren't quite an alpha dude. So let's take a break here and ask ourselves a few questions. And don't come back until you've answered them. I'd like to see these responses scrawled on a whiteboard, glued to your refrigerator with superglue. Make them firm and determined, and you'll be well on your way to accomplishing them. What is the most important thing to you in this world? What would you prefer to be remembered for if you had a choice? With these considerations in mind, jot out your long-term job, interests, achievements, love life, and family objectives. I want you to break that down further and set goals for the next 6 months. A year from now, 5 years from now, and a decade from now. I want you to put it somewhere you're going to see it every single day, at least once, to remind yourself what the meaning of your life is and what you want from it. When you look at that list of goals, consider what you've done recently to work toward them and ask yourself if you've done enough. Have you just left them there, expecting they'll miraculously come true like a candle on a birthday cake did when you were a kid? Or are you working hard every day to achieve them? You've made the first step toward becoming an alpha guy when you can answer yes to the second question while chuckling at the thought of the first. Once you've established this mindset, the rest will fall into place. When you set a goal, you'll naturally start thinking about how you're going to get there and focus on the trip rather than the destination. You'll begin by laying out the steps, asking yourself what you have now and what you'll need to achieve your goal. And you'll have to do it because as you progress, more opportunities will open up for you, and you might find yourself heading in a completely other route. That is not an issue. In fact, it is beneficial. An alpha man recognizes chances and adjusts his plans to take advantage of them. It's the perspective from where you are right now, and things could look radically different from higher up on your mountain. There's a big difference between you and the alpha man you want to be right now, and it all comes down to how you think about the future. It's fine if you're content to sit around waiting for nice things to happen to you. But that's not how an alpha guy thinks. If you want your life to have significance, if you want to be continuously looking forward to the things that you know you'll one day wonder how you ever lived without, you need to decide what those things are right now. It's fine if they alter along the way, as long as you continue to strive for the true meaning of your life. You won't be able to lounge on the couch until the early hours of the morning playing Call of Duty. And you'll be hesitant to turn on the television or waste time exploring new devices at the mall. Your life would be difficult from now on, and that you might not see the fruits of your labor for a long time. No, you need to rethink your life's balance and put a lot more effort into the things that are important to you. If you really want to be a gaming pro, go for it, and if you have to, stay up all night refining your virtual sniping skills. However, if gaming is merely something you do to pass the time before bed, or because you can't think of anything else to do with the time between now and when you go out with your buddies for a drink, you should consider whether it's worthwhile. It's also important pausing for a second to emphasize that just because I asked you to create goals for a decade down the road doesn't mean you won't be rewarded for all of your hard work between now and then. You won't have to wait until you're old and gray to reap the benefits of your labors. In fact, you might see some of them by the end of today. The small shock of joy you got from taking a step along the route is only the beginning. Most of the time, provided you maintain pushing yourself, you'll be experiencing little bursts of happiness similar to that one on a daily basis, as well as for each small accomplishment that contributes to the ultimate goal. No, you haven't achieved the overarching objective you set for yourself, but you know you've made progress. Moving toward that goal will mean a lot to you since it has genuine value for you and represents the true meaning of your life. On the other hand, there will be days when you want to pack it all up and return to the days when you could go fishing all day and not care if you returned home with the catch of the day for dinner, or when you could simply sit back and watch the game with a bowl of nachos. Because he had it so easy, you'll start to miss your pre-alpha thinking. He didn't have to push himself. He didn't have to be conscious of how he spent his time. And he didn't have to consider the consequences of every action. You'll fail at something, of course you will. We all do it at some point in our lives, and you'll wonder why the heck you're doing this to yourself. Or you'll reach a roadblock, some seemingly insurmountable hurdle that will require a lot of effort to overcome. You're tired, you'd rather be doing something else. And that, right there, is the ideal opportunity to put your mettle to the test. Are you still the same person who didn't know what he was doing with his life and didn't care? Have you evolved into an alpha male who sees failure as an opportunity to succeed? You'll have two options at that point. You can either give up and go back to your old life, or you can get up and figure out what went wrong. So, if you truly want to be an alpha guy, be prepared to put in the effort. You'll need to push yourself every day, regardless of whether you succeed or things get too difficult. And you'll never, ever be allowed to surrender. Be prepared for terrible days. I'll tell you why we have such a difficult time dealing with failure and unforeseen challenges right now. It's because we genuinely believe we can avoid them. We believe that because we've put in a little effort, we've done enough to avoid any major problems. That's a negative perspective because it makes the days when you don't reach your goals appear even worse. Accept that you will not always succeed, that the world will not always cooperate with your objectives, and that it does not matter if this occurs. You're an alpha man, so you're confident in your ability to take it in stride and try again. Let go of the minor details. When we obsess on minor details, they seem far more significant than they should be. Stop worrying about the small things in life and devote your time and attention to the goals that will improve your life. You must figure out how to get back on the horse if you fall off, and by that I mean devising a practical technique that works for you. You'll find lots of ideas for that, such as putting a picture of your flabby stomach on the fridge to face you if you try to sneak a snack, daydreaming about your perfect suburban home, supergluing your objectives to a whiteboard, and then laminating the refrigerator. You name anything, and it's been offered as hard and fast counsel by someone somewhere. So, while you should have your goals written down, the motivation you use to achieve them will be unique to you. Work things out now, when you're cruising along well, and you'll be ready to roll when the going gets rough. We've all met those who see the worst in every circumstance, and tell us we don't have what it takes to achieve our ambitions. It doesn't matter if it's your third-grade teacher or your adoring granny. It's time to stop listening to them. Stop putting your faith in what other people believe, and start believing in yourself. You can do it if you believe you can. When they tell you that you can't, give them a big grin, thank them nicely for their advice, and then get out of there as soon as possible so you can forget about whatever nonsense they said. Never forget who you are and what you want.